ongoing lecture. You can write your doubts in the chat box, which will be later on listened to and addressed. Thank you. I welcome the most esteemed chief guest and the source of inspiration for many of us, Professor Rajkumar, worthy Vice Chancellor of our university. We are indeed indebted by his presence, and words can't explain our gratitude that, sir, you have spared time from your busy schedule to bless us. Thank you, sir, so very much.
Okay.
We are pleased to have Dr. Balwant
Thank you.
Singh. We are pleased to have Dr. Balwant Singh from Institute of Philology and Intercultural Communication, Kazan Federal University, Kazan, Russia. He is also the director of Pratap College of Education, Ludhiana. I welcome you, sir. The petrifying and the severe impact of COVID-19 has shaken the world to its core. We can't ignore that at this time of crisis, effective educational practice is needed for the capacity building of the young minds. The government and the state need to take some measures to ensure the overall progress in the country. This and with many more ideas, I'm sure we all will be benefited with the talks of the experts. But before that, I request Principal Sir to extend a warm welcome to our worthy guests. Sir, please.
Thank you. Thank you. B. Sir, good morning. Balwant ji, very good morning. Honorable Chief Guest, Professor Rajkumar ji, Vice Chancellor, Punjab University, Chandigarh. Honorable Key Speaker, Professor Balwant Singh ji, Professor, Institute of Philology.
Sir, kindly unmute yourself, sir.
Honorable Keynote Speaker, Professor Balwant Singh ji, Professor, Institute of Philology and Intercultural Communication, Kazan Federal University, Kazan, Russia. Professor Ronki Ram ji, Professor Sunil Kumar Khosla ji, Professor Kamalpreet ji, respected eminent guests and dignitaries, my dear colleagues and students. On behalf of Shahid Uddham Singh Punjab University Constant College, Guru Harsha, and in the capacity of Seminar Director, it's my immense pleasure to extend a warm welcome to all of you who have joined us today webinar on effect of prolonged lockdown on educational institution of education. We are highly grateful to our Honorable Chief Guest, Professor Rajkumar ji, for acceding to our request to grace the occasion. Professor Rajkumar is a distinguished academician, researcher, and educational administrator. He completed his PhD from Banaras Hindu University and DLit from University of Lucknow. He brings with him a rich mixture of professional integrity and administrative experience. Professor Rajkumar has been actively engaged in teaching, research training, and consultancy in management field for more than 3 decades. He has been Director, Dean, and HOD of Institute of Management Studies, Banaras Hindu University, VHU, Banaras. And also, he is chairman of various decision-making bodies of most prestigious institutions at national and international level. Especially, he is a member of UGC Advisory Committee right now. As an accomplished teacher and educationist administrator, his focus has always been on quality. Under his dynamic leadership and guidance, Punjab University had been adjudged as best university in the country by US News and World Report ranking 2019. In NIRF ranking 2019, University ranked 21st position and University Institute of Pharmaceutical Science ranked second among pharmacy institutions in the country. It is a credit to his effort that innovation and intuition has got a major thrust in the university, which is reflected in Punjab University achieving ninth spot in ARHA, Atal Ranking of Institution on Innovation Achievements. Ranking list as released by MHRD in the month of March 2019. Because of his consistent efforts, university has been sanctioned grant for a new girls hostel, expansion of human resource development center, and for setting up a center for academic leadership and educational management. Sir, we really thank you for your kind gesture, and in spite of your mindful preoccupations, I am sure we all will be greatly blessed from your valuable input in this topic. With deep sense of gratitude, I welcome you, sir. We are grateful today to Professor Balwant Singh ji for acceding to our request to grace the occasion as key speaker. Professor Balwant Singh is a prominent academician, writer, philosopher, peacekeeper, researcher, and a person of international reputation. He has worked as professor in many reputed universities around the world and also with many international associations. Currently, he is working as a professor in Institute of Philology and Intercultural Communication, Kazan Federal University, Kazan, Russia. Professor Balwant Singh has more than 44 years of teaching, research, and administrative experience in various educational institutions and 12 years of teaching and research experience at NCRT. Professor Singh is 18 years of teaching cum administrative experience as Director, Training and Orientation Center, Ministry of MHRD, Government of India, Punjabi University, Patiala. Professor Singh is the founder principal of University College of Education, Punjabi University, Patiala, and Principal Pratap College of Education, Ludhiana. Professor Balwant Singh is an executive member of International Professional Development Association, IPDA, UK, and International Study Association of Teachers and Teaching, ISATT, and chairperson of IPDA Association India chapter. Sir, we thank you for your very kind gesture. In spite of your mindful preoccupations, I am sure
डॉक्टर एनआर शर्मा सर, आपका माइक म्यूट हो गया है। सर, आपका माइक म्यूट हो गया है।
Also, I would like to convey in the novel initiative of our worthy Vice Chancellor, Professor Rajkumar ji, it is a great opportunity for us to transform the higher education system through conducting webinar and e-lectures. Colleges and universities should utilize this opportunity to transform itself through developing e-learning content, online curriculum design, e-collaborations, skill development, and faculty involvement, which is the need of the hour today in COVID-19. We don't know what lie ahead in future for the million youngsters. With these few words, once again, I welcome you all to this webinar and hope that you will have an engaging and enriching session ahead. Due to lack of time, I request to our worthy Vice Chancellor, Professor Rajkumar ji, for his inaugural lecture. Professor Rajkumar ji, BC
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sarmaji. At the outset, the distinguished keynote speaker, Professor Balwant Singh ji, Principal of the college, Dr. Aryan Sharma, Professor Ronki Ramji, a number of other distinguished speakers, and very, very esteemed participants, students, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, each one of you. I am very happy that our constituent college keep on doing many academic and other type of activities. I am very happy to listen when Professor Aryan Sharma contacted me for the inaugural request. Immediately, I just given him assurance. Yes, I am doing my best schedule. If there will be any space, there are a lot of activities going on, not only in our university, but in the other institutes and organization as well. But out of the love and affection, I have given a special priority to you for sparing at least few minutes with you. And when I just listen the information that had been given by Professor Sharma, I am really again very delighted to note that the college is collecting a lot a lot activities and connecting a number of academicians and the research scholars as well as the participants from the different institutions and the colleges. Today, webinar topic effect of prolonged lockdown on education institution or education institutions or education is it really very very special type of topic that you have chosen. I want to congratulate the entire team of organizer under the leadership of Dr. Aryan Sharma that during the deliberations they will come out with some concrete information, with concrete strategy, because you are deliberating on a very delicate topic, and that too in a very critical period of time. Your enlightenment would certainly lead the academics, not only the academics researcher, but also our dear students who are deprived of many things, who are under pressure, who are under a lot of confusion pertaining to the idleness, pertaining to the physical activities. If we are organizing such a seminar, then certainly that will give a booster to them, that will motivate them. Not only the class teaching, learning is a very essential, and through the web we can learn a lot. And if at our house, at our place, when we are organizing such a thing, then at the same time we can do a lot of activities and interact with with the number of experts across the world. The activities the college has organized. I have the list of some important activities. Not only in the area of academics, the college is also putting its effort in the other field also, like extracurricular activities, like outreach type of program, like sports activities. So, if any college is doing such a holistic approach, then certainly that would develop the holistic development of the student. And I assure you, as a Vice Chancellor of Punjab University, whatever facility we have, it is only for the student. It is only for the teachers. They are working at the college. I don't believe any type of distinction between the colleges and the university. Although I came from such a huge university, Banaras Hindu University, but when I worked at the Punjab University, then I found the culture, the enthusiasm, the mindset, the attitude, and the learning appetite is entirely different of the colleges. They are looking for the opportunities, and now it is our turn to give you opportunity, to give you facility, to facilitate you, to provide you the insights on which you can move ahead very fast. Last but not the least, I also put one area for your deliberation and for your interaction, that is the area of research and innovation. Mind it, don't concentrate only the teaching, learning, extracurricular type activities. Now this is the time to create this job, and we have to we have to uh, build a team of the job creators, job providers, not the job seekers. And through the innovation activities, we can do a lot in the domain. I'm sure the constituent college will come forward and would be the first kind of college to have a lot of flagship, a lot of means say leadership in the area of research and innovation. With this, I'm once again greet the entire gathering, and at the same time thank you, especially the principal and his team, for organizing such a wonderful event. That will be a lesson, not only you people, but the entire colleges and the academic system that we have. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, sir. You have spared time for us and join this national webinar. And definitely, our worthy colleague, friends, students will be inspired your this lecture. But actually, I would like to say, actually, sir, you have changed my name. I am not R.N. Sharma. I am N.R. Sharma, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Now, Madam Maninder ji.
Good morning.
Madam Maninder ji.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello? Yes, sir.
Maninder, yes.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Now I invite Dr. Balwant Singh to kindly take over the discussion and enlighten us. Sir, please. Sir, kindly unmute yourself, sir.
Good morning. My special gratitude to our worthy Vice Chancellor, Professor Rajkumar ji, Professor Sharma, Principal of the College, Professor Onki Ram ji, other dignitaries, my colleagues and dear students. It's a very great opportunity to see you all and talk something which is of very sensitive nature, unprecedented, especially on a platform where we can meet together as a webinar participants. Dr. Sharma asked me to discuss something about the lockdown effects, prolonged lockdown effects on education or educational institutions. It's very serious and concerning topic all over the world. The terrifying and drastic impact of COVID-19 has shaken the world to its core. Further, most of the governments around the world have temporarily closed educational institutions in attempt to contain the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. In India too, the government, as a part of the nationwide lockdown, has closed all educational institutions, as a consequence of which learners ranging from school-going children to postgraduate classes are affected badly. COVID-19 pandemic has sparked a global realization that our current way of life does not work. It has broken our perception of what is normal and deconstructed society as we know it. One such critical area where the need for change has become very evident is education. The effects of the coronavirus and thereby its preventive measures has unended the life of students, parents, and teachers. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called upon governments to build back better after the current crisis by creating more sustainable, resilient, and inclusive societies. This most this must include education, as societies cannot transform if what and how we learn remains the same. This is a crucial time for education sector. Examinations, admissions, entrance tests of various universities and competitive examinations, among others, are all held up during this period. As the days pass by with no immediate solution to stop outbreak of COVID-19, school and university closures will not only have a short-time impact of the community, but on the continuity of learning for more than 285 million young learners in India, and also engender for reaching economic and societal consequences. India, of course, is a multi-layered society, has always needed a strong public education system, incorporating a holistic vision to achieve universalization of education, while also establishing a discrimination-free education system. However, this did not receive adequate attention from the policymakers. Now the pandemic has magnified inequalities like never before. Previous health emergencies also demonstrate that the impact on education is likely to be most devastating in countries where there are already low learning outcomes. High dropout rates and low resilience to shocks. Despite increase in public awareness and aspirations to get children educated, as well as increased enrollment of children in schools, post Right to Education Act 2009, India's learning crisis remains grave. The National Sample Survey of Estimation of Out-of-School Children report submitted to the Ministry of HRD in 2014 revealed that 6 million children are still out of school. The structure of schooling and learning, including teaching and assessment methodologies, was the first to be affected by these closures. Only a handful of private schools could adopt online teaching methods. Their low-income private and government school counterparts, on the other hand, have completely shut down for not having access to e-learning solutions. The students, in addition to the missed opportunities for learning, no longer have access to healthy meals during this time and are subject to economic and social stress. The pandemic has significantly disrupted the higher education sector as well, which is a critical determinant of a country's economic future. A large number of Indian students enroll in universities abroad, especially in countries worst affected by the pandemic like US, UK, Australia, Canada, and China. Many such students have now been barred from leaving these countries. If the situation persists, in the long run, a decline in the demand for international higher education is expected. The bigger concern, however, on everybody's mind is the effect of the disease on the employment rate. Recent graduates in India are fearing withdrawal of job offers from corporates because of the current situation. The Center for Monitoring Indian Economy's estimates on unemployment shot up from 9% in mid-March to 23% in early April, and the urban unemployment rate is 31%. Needless to say, the pandemic has transformed the centuries-old chalk and talk teaching model to one driven by technology. This disruption in the delivery of education is pushing policymakers to figure out how to drive engagement to scale while ensuring inclusive e-learning solution and tackling the digital divide. A multi-pronged strategy is necessary to manage the crisis and build a resilient Indian education system in the long term.
एक सेकंड होल्ड रखिए तो पीछे से मेरे को बुलाई किया सारा
Now, the close down of the institutions at the moment perhaps is not as serious because in the previous years also, in the month of April, May, even some part of the June, we had examinations throughout the country. And then we have a good number of holidays that ends up to maybe the whole July. The problem is not of teaching learning in the institutions these days. The problem is stress, pandemic stress. And the reasons other than the education at the level of the students, parents, and the families, these need a very sincere and thorough investigation and thorough concern with that. E-learning or online teaching now has become at the top priority. It's good to switch on to e-learning and online teaching, but are our students prepared for that? Just now, I was just listening to the conversation between Dr. Sharma and one of the principals of the Punjab University that students are not serious, parents are not cooperative, and she was using very interesting in Punjabi term, this Pambal Pussa is being created at the students or learning level, teaching level. This is really a serious concern that are we really switching on to this technology and it is useful at the moment. Anyway, we can adopt virtual learning, we can adopt online teaching, but we should not replace realistic world with the virtuality. This is the most important thing at the moment. Now the people are talking about virtual learning, online teaching, virtual examinations, and then virtual universities also. I read a few days back in a newspaper that there will be virtual universities. That technology should come to the universities and the as a supplement, but not that the technology should overtake a university. And we still have a scanning eye on correspondence courses, distance education programs, which are not highlighting the performance-based skills and research promotions, and all there are many things in that. So different subjects, disciplines, they have to be taken care by various technologies, pedagogy, various approaches, various institutions, and at various times of its applicability. Now, the situation has become still more grave when the policymakers or the authority in some way or the other way issue statements which create confusion regarding examinations. Should it be done? Should it be deferred or should it be promoted based on the previous performance, average based? So many things are happening. When we have a centralized controlling authority, that is University Grants Commission, we should follow that. So instead of creating confusion, confrontation and chaos, we should be very careful because in this pandemic problem, we should not increase the frustration. Like payment of fee, payment of salaries. It's a very serious and shame, I should say, that within 2 months period, the issue of payment of fees has been dragged to the highest court of the country. Is it that serious a problem? Why this mob mentality has come into the future of the small children? This is not an issue to be taken to the courts or to the high level of the chief minister level and all these things. The institutions have been locked down in the previous years also. There were natural calamities. There were riots in the country. There were so many cyclones, so many harsh weather conditions, even in our own this northern part, due to the scorching heat, the deputy commissioners are authorized to close down the schools for a month or for 15 days or something like that. So instead of just focusing on that something bad has happened and the lockdown is not available, that is not the case. We should switch on to virtual learning as the developed countries have done it. Now we are talking so hue and cry that virtual learning, online teaching should be there. It has been happening in Europe, in America, and in Russia for the last many years. Nobody ever knew that they are teaching in the real situation, or they are learning in the real situation, or they are some part of their content they are taking online. It was a natural process. So now we are facing it a difficulty. How to get a mobile phone, internet connections, and then some laptop gadgets, studios in the institutions. Now this will again mess up all this demand system. It should become a part of the total education system. Similarly, the examination system in most of the countries are not given that much investment for examinations. In Russia, I have seen this very wonderful system that throughout the year, the evaluation is going on. There is no terminal or the end of the sessions examination, and only the classroom teacher just meet the student in an interview way, in a meeting way, and they ask some questions for 1 hour, something like that. And then with the consent and after the discussion, the teacher allocates the grade to the students. No publication of question papers, no establishment of centers, no big secrecy departments. And sometimes I wonder that, sir, we think that the examination center is like and a police encounter or something to be taken very seriously, as some gangsters are there and we have to, they should be under surveillance, and a lot of money is invested on flying squads on all these things. Still, we could not decondition that degree from the real education system. Examination is dominating. It is deteriorating the health of students and parents and the society more than the pandemic for the last many years. So the degree has become a bread earning and the last motive of education system. So let us make this is the time that we should make education evaluation as a normal process. It should not be at the end of the system and we have to depend on the new methodologies, new technologies. So I request and suggest our worthy Vice Chancellor, because he's also a member of the University Grants Commission, that now it is a sort of incidental opportunity that we should devise a new method of evaluation, teaching, learning for the times to come. These pandemic, these problems were in the past as well as it will remain in the future also. We teachers and we as the organizers should formulate policies which are very natural to the life of the people and the students. So education system should go normally and the virtuality should not take reality. This is my observation. In universities abroad, so many people, so many students are daily going to the classes, and those who cannot go to the classes, they have options. They have time options. They have subject options. They have shift options. The classes continue up to 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. also for the working class. So we have a notion that one can sit only in this course and cannot work anywhere else. All these things have to be now reconsidered, and on an analytic basis, we should think about the introduction of technology, introduction of virtuality, and all these things which we are talking for the implementation in these difficult situations. Now, the parents and the students, they think that it is a top-down approach given to us, top-down approach. It is given from something from the top. maybe from the managements, maybe from the policymakers. The parents and the students are not accepting this type of online teaching or this. Are they really attending all these things? Are they getting it? Has it ever been evaluated on any standard of the world map, the effectiveness of online teaching and e-learning? It has never been tested. It has only been tried as a supplement. It has only been tried as an additional activity, but the real teaching was continuing for the necessity of the research innovations. And there are so many other characteristics other than knowledge for the personality development, that is cognitive and affection. Skills which are related to the value system, attitudes, feelings, and the civilization. All these things cannot be taken by virtual teaching. There are disciplines, there are different subjects, different activities right from the childhood up to the higher education, post-graduation level, which needs a lot of care and intermittent necessity of the teachers, of the library, of the resources, of the institutions, of the campuses. And as what the Vice Chancellor was talking just now, that Dr. Sharma's institution is not only in academics, they have excelled in sports, in cultural activities, and social output, and many more other things that he mentioned. So it has remained the top priority of the education that knowledge is one constraint. Other things are also existing there. So we should be very careful in that way. And the second thing is that education system has the capacity. We have seen in the past the attendance problem is there in India, migration problem of the students is there in India, large number of student population, lack of facilities, but we are doing very good. Our students excelled in education. They appeared in competition at world level and they excelled there also. They were at the top positions. So nothing to worry in that way that we are going to damage and the system will crash. It's nothing like that. Let us be hopeful. Let us join hands. Nothing is going to happen in a very bad shape. The reasons for the stress, the reasons for the depression, mental problems, health problems are not due to the closure of the schools at the moment. Sir, it is because of many other reasons. The problems of the small kids is of their losing their innocent childhood. And then the early pre-adolescent people have different type of constraints and their problems are entirely different. And the adolescents and the postgraduate students and the job seekers and the people from the marginal families, all they have their different problems because of this closed down. They are limited to certain problems. They are in a very difficult shape to pull on. So we should be the institutions, the teachers, the community should be at the rescue of the students, and we should encourage them. We should bless them. We should solve their problems in a way that this is not going to happen for a long time. We should not switch on to immediately to something which is abruptly new, and we are unable to come back. Now, virtual teaching, virtual learning, or virtual classes may not become an option tomorrow, may not become a demand from the students. Will it be possible for us then to close down the classrooms, remove the attendance chapter, and then we allow them of their own to attend any course, any technical course or any skill-based course based on the virtuality, because they say that this is the most preferred way as it was done in the COVID-19. So a judicious balance is very necessary for that. And the parents having different problems. It's a low-income group country, low-income country. There are different socio-economic constraints. There are financial-based classifications. There are A type of schools, means higher type of schools, where the rich or the neo-rich class students are going. There is no complaint about paying the fee or about the salaries of the employees. It only happens at the B level category, C level category. Perhaps the D level category, they are silent. They are not bothered. Either they pay or they may not pay. They go to the school or they may be invited to school or may not be. That is perhaps on the mercy. But the C and B type schools are facing a big problem. They don't have mobile, they don't have connections, they don't have laptops. Those schools, they don't have facilities. Teachers are not trained how to prepare content. Are the teachers aware about the platforms of communication? Can they prepare all these things on and display it on the technological gadgets? This is a big question. We were never trained for that, and we don't have that much facility. As we have A category, we will have IITs and certain A class institutions and technical institutions, but I have discussed this problem with them that they are also having a problem on online classes. That technology has given to such big criminal interpretations of the online classes that discipline problem is much more than the physical classes. Somebody is just introducing somebody else's name and just switching on to the speech of our honorable minister Amit Shah or chief minister. They are speaking in that way. They are asking very irrelevant questions which are a nonsense for the whole group to listen to or to address to. So it's like other digital uh, facility programs. We have a problem in this e-learning also. It's a one-way process. You just open the chat for 200 students or a group of 200 people. You see what is going to happen in that discussion. So we should be very careful. Switch on to virtual, but never forget that we are going back to the normal thread of education, that is a schooling, that is true education sanctity, role of teacher, judicious personality development. I understand that it has never been a top priority. It has never been on the high priority list of the country, but education is the backbone of any nation. We should not play with the policies. We should not play with the aspects of education. And at this moment, I think we should take care the middle class, the low class, because they are the sufferers. The student should be given more counseling. The student should be given more uh, type of guidance regarding their problems. Virtual universities is a concept I was reading in the paper that perhaps the virtuality will capture or take over to the universities, or universities should introduce virtuality. Yeah, virtual teaching is a big question. Never have this nomenclature that tomorrow we are going to have virtual universities. The universities should supplement with virtuality wherever it is necessary. So closing down, close down has affected the institutions as well. Students were not prepared. Similarly, institutions were not prepared. There is a problem of their existence, survival. There is a problem of switching on to the technology. There is a confusion created by the policymakers. A few days back in Punjab, it was announced that regarding examinations, that there will be no examinations. Students will be promoted. Then a letter is written to the Prime Minister of India to look into this matter. A request is sent to the University Grants Commission. So why to create this confusion? When the system is there, let them decide for the whole country. There can be delimitations in a particular area, containment area, or their personal problems can be taken care by the central body. They will make adjustments, time adjustment, schedule adjustment, other type of, there are so many possibilities. Similarly, 30% syllabus will be curtailed at school level. Why 30%? Make it 50%. Earlier, we were teaching the whole syllabus, or all the students are covering the whole syllabus. It is for them to complete their study to become a full-fledged, mentally elaborated person. No schools, no teachers are completing the whole syllabus. No, which 30% you will curtail. And when you will put it back after some time, then there will be again a hue and cry. No, 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 we don't want this extra burden. Then which part in history will you exclude some Bani, some religion, some value system? There will be lot of problem. Now the committees have been constituted. Some say, the school chairman says, I have not issued any order to curtail. Why this confusion is there? Only in a period of 2 months, 3 months, we are going to curtail the syllabi, which was very thoroughly and wisely constructed by National Curriculum Forum at the national level at various classes. You curtail it right now, and after 3 months or 4 months, the situation will be normal. Then the students will be saying, we have finished it in a single semester. We have a lot of time now because we have a very little syllabus. So these confusions at the policy level and the decision makers, they should not further complicate the problem. And for that, I request submit to the senior teachers sitting here, like Professor Ronkiram, Professor Sharma, Dr. N.R. Sharma, who is also a part of the university administration, and were the Vice Chancellor, to maintain the autonomy of the educational institutions. They should take their own decisions.